Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name is Luke Pace, and welcome back to everyone who is already a subscriber to the show. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe so you can see more great interviews, including the one coming at you right now. First time guest of the show, about ready to make his MMA debut for 247 Fighting Championships on June 29th, is Bryce Deleon. Bryce, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on, Luke.
Really great anytime we can have a new fighter on the show. So thanks so much for coming on. Before we get into that fight, it's a big 247 doubleheader, a noon show and an evening show, as well as the fact that it is at the Monroeville Convention Center, June 29th. It's a big deal. The noon show will have Muay Thai on for the first time ever. You're going to be fighting MMA. Let's get a little bit of history on you. What did you do athletically, sports-wise before MMA?
Before MMA, I wrestled. I wrestled for Pine Richland, high school and middle school, and in youth. So my, background is wrestling. So that's pretty much the background there.
Sure. And how
I
long?
played some other sports.
How far did you take wrestling in high school?
I took it all the way to my senior year. Had a few college applications, and offers to go wrestle D2. Just for me, I just kind of turned it down and went into the workforce and just kind of started working, and later went on into career path for college. But I never wrestled collegiately, mainly just high school level. One time WPIAL qualifier. That's about it, really. My wrestling background.
Okay, gotcha. And how did you end up at Indio? How did you take your wrestling from high school? Then you're in the workforce, and what got you interested in training at Indio?
Yeah, it's funny. I had an old teammate that I used to wrestle with. He was younger than me, and I happened to sign up for the same jiu-jitsu no-gi tournament. And he's like, "Hey, can you go get my coach? He's this tall. He has an Indio shirt on." And I saw him, and after I got him, he, Danilo grabbed my hand. And he's like, "You a wrestler?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You come to India." So that's how that journey started. And I started doing the no gi. Then I fell in love with the gi jiu-jitsu. And then from there, he started asking, if I'd want to do MMA. And it was, something I was training before I met Danilo and everyone there at Indio. So that's how that journey started, of me going to India, and just his forward approach. I'm a very forward approach person, so I respected the way he approached me and everything. So, I'm grateful that he's my coach, along with Coach Mikey and Uncle Jeff. So, yeah.
Yeah, the three coaches at Indio are fantastic. Danilo's a great guy, really cool. Before you met him, what made you interested in MMA and taking no-gi tournaments even before training at Indio?
I think what really made me get into like grappling and everything was wrestling's kind of a really hard paced sport. I tried a bunch of other sports like soccer, hockey, and I was just kind of a little overly aggressive, a little bit of a angry child in my youth. So it was a good outlet for me. It allowed me to channel it in a good way without getting into trouble. So that's where I fell in love with wrestling, and the gi and no gi. It's a venting for me. It's a way I can relieve that stress and not get in trouble for doing something not so smart.
Makes perfect sense for sure. How has training the MMA side of things been going for you at Indio? What was it like picking up the boxing, the head movement, the Muay Thai elements, the Jiu-Jitsu? How was all that coming together?
For the jiu-jitsu and like no-gi side, it was a big change. With it's okay to be on your back. In wrestling, you don't want to be on your back, you want to go to your stomach. And MMA and a no-gi, kind of getting your belly on the ground is a really bad and dangerous position for you. It opens you up to a lot of submissions and blows to the head. um what was the rest of the question? Sorry.
Well, you're already answering it. What was that experience like for you learning the transition to MMA?
Yeah, and then the big one with the MMA is when you wrestle, you usually are your right, like if you're right hand, you wrestle right leg forward, right hand, you go your dominant side. And in MMA, my right hand's my power hand, so I have to switch to that orthodox. So blending my shots and my striking is where was a big what I had to work on a lot because I'm not used to shooting from my left side. But now we fixed it, and I feel confident in my shots and my striking.
Well, that is very detailed. I appreciate you pointing that out. Another option would have been for you to stay in what is traditionally in kickboxing known as southpaw, to leave your shots the same and then learn southpaw. But either which way, really cool. What are your thoughts coming in to your amateur debut?
I know he's 5'8". He's obviously a little taller. I mean, he's gonna have the striking. So me and my coaching staff, Mikey and Danilo, we've formulated that plan. I don't want to give away too much, but it's definitely going to be trying to keep that striking at a distance. I don't want to get in there with him and try to engage in a brawl. Obviously, he has the distance. He's probably going to come out striking. So I'm looking to look for a hole in his game plan as of my plan for this fight.
For sure. That makes a lot of sense. Obviously, it's great that you and your coaches, Mikey and Uncle Jeff, have come up with a game plan. It's really going to be about you putting that game plan in action. How do you think you'll feel nerves wise, due to just dealing with um, the the focus and being in a cage fighting for the first time? Or do you think that's something you've already kind of accomplished through your wrestling career?
Through my wrestling and mainly just how Coach Mikey and Uncle Jeff run the Muay Thai practices, they really push me really hard. Push me to that point where I'm at that wall and I need to push through. And they're always on me to keep going, keep going. Like it's like you have to keep going because the moment I show tired, that's going to be a scoring opportunity for the refs to say, he's not moving, he's not pushing back. I'm too tired. I look tired. If I look tired, that means my opponent's winning. So, just the conditioning aspect of that. And then I just kind of think of the old Mike Tyson videos, how he said, he's like, I was nervous all the way up to my fights, but he's like, once I got in there, I felt calm. And that's usually how most of my wrestling matches and jiu-jitsu matches, I'm a little, nervous up into the beginning of it, but once I'm walking up to that mat or walking to that cage, I feel pretty locked in and ready to go. And, all this training that I've put through, and shout out to Teixeira Gym, Glover Teixeira, that, let us train at his place. That helped me out a lot too, just seeing some different aspects and seeing some of the fighters there too. So that's how I feel about the nerves and everything. I think I'll be fine once I step into that cage.
Really great answer. Tell me a little bit more about your trip to Teixeira MMA up there in Connecticut. How did that come together? And obviously, hats off to the former UFC world champ in
Yeah.
Glover. I know he's a great guy. He's been to at least one 247 fight, to my knowledge, and obviously Danilo and he must have hit it off and connect, both Brazilians and all that. So, how did that trip come together, and what was it like?
So it was me, both the Chase sisters, Evan, Hoot, and Mr. Burns. And I don't know, just, we were talking about it and we were bouncing around. And also shout out to Hope. She was one of the ones that really, got all the funding for us and planned everything. Trip up there was awesome. The Airbnb was nice. The training schedule was awesome. And I like Glover because he has the same energy as Danilo. He's really intense, but that intensity has a purpose when he's, yelling at us. It's because he wants us to do good. So, and just the different stick, you could tell that a lot of them.
We're having some type of technical difficulty hearing Bryce. Let's see if we can get him back. It's been a great interview so far. Appears that he just cut out in the middle of talking about the Teixeira trip. If we can't get him back, it's been a great interview. It was really great to have Bryce on to talk Indio, to talk training, to talk what led him to go from high school wrestling into MMA. And even though we didn't get to hear the rest of that story, I think it was still a great interview. And I encourage everybody to get tickets to 247 Fighting Championships for the double header June 29th event. Make sure if you are going to support a certain fighter that you're finding their name listed on when you're buying tickets to give them credit, and also to make sure that you're buying the correct card, because there's a 21.5 card, which is the noon fight, and there's a 22nd card or 2-2 card, which is that evening. You can also, if you can't make it into 247fighting.com to buy tickets to be in person, then make sure you are going to any app store and downloading 247 Live app, and then you can select pay-per-view that way. If you're going to support Bryce Deleon, make sure that you pick the card that has him on it. You'll know because you'll be able to choose his name. A special thanks to Bryce for coming on the show. It's unfortunate that we couldn't end with him on the show, but my name's Luke Payson with special guest, first-time guest fighting out of Indio DoJo, Bryce Deleon. Can't wait to see how that fight goes and all the fights on the 247 Fighting Championship doubleheader, June 29th at Monroeville Convention Center. See everybody then.